You felt it before you could name it. That restless pull. That itch in your fingers when the room goes quiet. That hollow feeling when you put the phone down and suddenly don't know what to do with yourself. You thought it was boring. You thought it was just a habit. But habits don't rewire the way you think. Habits don't change the way you feel silence. Habits don't make you anxious when nothing is happening. What's happening to you is deeper than a habit. And if you've been wondering why you can't focus like you used to, why your attention feels like it's been shredded into pieces, why meaningful things feel boring but scrolling feels necessary, you're not broken, but you are being rebuilt without your permission. This isn't about being addicted to your phone. Everyone says that. Everyone knows that. And still, nothing changes. Because knowing isn't the problem. Understanding isn't the problem. The problem is that something has already shifted inside you at a level most people never examine. The architecture of your attention has been quietly, systematically, and deliberately restructured. And the world you're now trying to live in, the world that demands focus, patience, discipline, and depth, feels foreign. It feels hard. Feels almost impossible. Not because you're weak, but because the brain you're trying to use to build your future has been trained to do the exact opposite of what building a future requires. That's what we're here to talk about. Not just what social media does to you, but what it has already done, what it's still doing, and what you have to understand about yourself right now if you want any of your real goals to survive contact with the world you're actually living in. Start with this. The human brain is not fixed. It bends. It adapts. It reshapes itself around whatever you repeat. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire based on experience. Every habit you build, every pattern you repeat, every environment you stay in, slowly carves new grooves into how you think and feel and respond. For most of human history, this was how people grew. Repetition built mastery. Struggle built resilience. Delayed reward built character. The brain was shaped by effort, patience, and depth. But then something changed. Not gradually, suddenly, not in years, in months. A device arrived that could give you anything you wanted in seconds. Stimulation, validation, entertainment, outrage, connection, escape, all of it. Instant, infinite, inexhaustible. And the brain, the ancient, adaptive, pattern-hungry brain, responded exactly the way it was always designed to respond. It was learned. It adapted. It rewired itself around the new normal. And the new normal was this: reward comes fast, effort is optional, and if something doesn't grab you in 2 seconds, it isn't worth your time. Think about what that actually means. Think about how quietly devastating that reprogramming really is. Every time you picked up your phone and felt that brief rush of novelty, a new post, a new comment, a new notification, your brain released a small hit of dopamine. Not because something important happened, just because something new happened. And your brain filed that away. New equals reward. Stimulation equals safety. Stillness equals threat. The more you repeated that loop, the stronger it got. The stronger it got, the more it started to bleed into everything else. Into the classroom. Into the conversation. Into the moment you sat down to do something that actually mattered. You didn't lose your focus all at once. You traded it away one scroll at a time. And here's the part that most people miss. The part that actually explains why you feel the way you feel right now. Dopamine isn't just the reward chemical. It's the wanted chemical. It doesn't make you satisfied. It makes you seek. It makes you hunger. Every hit of fast stimulation doesn't fill the space. It expands it. You scroll to feel better and end up needing more scrolling to feel anything at all. You check your phone for connection and end up more isolated. You consume content to feel inspired and end up more paralyzed because the brain doesn't distinguish between real nourishment and cheap stimulation. It just knows the hit came fast. And fast became the standard. This is why sitting down to study feels like punishment. This is why starting a project feels like climbing a wall. This is why the goals you care about keep getting postponed, while things that matter nothing to your future get hours of your day without any resistance at all. It's not laziness. It's not lack of will. It's a brain that has been trained by thousands of hours of conditioning to reject anything that doesn't deliver reward immediately. And the most important things in your life almost never deliver rewards immediately. Think about that tension. Sit with it for a moment. Everything you actually want, the skill, the degree, the discipline, the body, the career, The version of yourself you know you're capable of becoming, all of it requires delayed reward. All of it requires you to work before you feel anything good. All of it requires silence, friction, and patience. But the brain you're now operating with has been specifically shaped to find all of those things uncomfortable. The system didn't accidentally create this tension. The tension is the product. Because when you're uncomfortable with silence, you need entertainment. When you're uncomfortable with effort, you need distraction. When you're uncomfortable with being ordinary while working toward extraordinary, you need the validation of looking like you're already there. And every one of those needs is a product waiting to be sold to you. Your attention isn't just being captured, it's being monetized. And the cost is your potential. But here is where the conversation changes. Here is where most people stop reading, stop listening, stop watching, because what comes next isn't comfortable. And your brain, trained for comfort, will try to reject it. Let it try. Stay anyway. You are not a passive victim of this system. You are a participant. Every day you wake up and hand your attention to something that was engineered to own it. You are making a choice. Maybe not a fully conscious one. Maybe not a deliberate one, but a choice. And choices, even the ones made unconsciously, have consequences that compound. Every morning you check your phone before your mind is fully awake, you're handing the first and most powerful moments of your cognition to an algorithm designed to keep you reactive, emotional, and distracted. Every hour you spend scrolling instead of building, you are practicing the skill of avoidance. You are rehearsing the identity of someone who consumes instead of creates. You are teaching your brain, with repetition, that your time has no value. And identity works exactly the same way as neuroplasticity. You become what you repeatedly do, not what you intend, not what you wish, what you do, every day. Especially when no one is watching, especially when it's easy not to. This is the part where the student sitting in their room with their textbook open and their phone face up on the desk needs to hear something real. You are not studying. You are studying. There is a version of you checking Instagram between every paragraph and calling it a break. There is a version of you watching someone else's success story and calling it research. There is a version of you planning and preparing and organizing and optimizing while the actual work, the uncomfortable, unglamorous, unrewarded work, sits untouched. And each hour that passes like that isn't neutral. It is erosion. Slow, quiet, but real. You feel behind because you are behind. Not because life was unfair to you, not because you didn't have access or opportunity, but because the hours exist and you were somewhere else while they passed. That is a hard thing to face. But facing it is the only thing that makes anything different. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Motivation is a feeling. Feelings are temporary. Feelings follow action. They don't lead it. The version of you who is capable of what you're after doesn't wait to feel ready. That version shows up when it's hard, shows up when it's boring, shows up when every impulse in the rewired brain is screaming to pick up the phone and disappear into something easier. And that version of you doesn't emerge because of inspiration. It emerges because of repetition, because of a decision made quietly, without applause, over and over, long before the results are visible. This is what discipline actually is, not punishment, not rigidity, not the absence of pleasure. Discipline is the refusal to let your weakest moment define your life. It's choosing the harder thing precisely because it's harder. Because difficulty is the only environment where the kind of strength you actually need gets built. You cannot scroll your way into being capable. You cannot consume your way into having something to say. You cannot compare yourself to growth. You can only build your way there. One session at a time. 1 hour of actual focused work at a time. One decision to stay when leaving is easier, one more time. And the comparison. Let's talk about the comparison, because it might be the single most destructive thing this era has done to human ambition. You are watching people who were selected, filtered, curated, and algorithmically promoted, and you are measuring your invisible progress against their visible highlight reel. You are watching someone else's best day and comparing it to your worst hour. You are watching the result of years of work compressed into 60 seconds of content and wondering why your 60 seconds don't look the same. This isn't humility. This isn't healthy self-assessment. This is a distortion, a lie your brain accepts because it looks like evidence. And living inside that lie doesn't make you try harder. It makes you feel smaller. It makes you feel like the gap is permanent, Like it means something about who you are instead of what you haven't done yet. The gap doesn't mean you're behind. It means you're early, but only if you actually start. Every person you're comparing yourself to has a version of their story you haven't seen. The failures, the months of silence before anything worked, the long stretches of showing up to something that wasn't paying off yet, the internal conversations, the self-doubt, the almost quitting. You didn't see that part. You never see that part. You only see the moment after the invisible years. And then you look at your beginning and call it failure. Stop that. Your beginning is just that, a beginning. But beginnings require you to actually begin. Not research beginning. Not plan beginning. Not watch someone else begin. Begin. Put the phone down. Not later. Not after one more video. Not after you finish the current thread. Now. Not as a punishment. As a reclamation. Every moment you take back from the feed is a moment that belongs to your future. Every hour you protect from passive consumption is an hour that can be poured into something that compounds. The brain that was rewired can be rewired again. That's the thing about neuroplasticity. It doesn't only work in one direction. The grooves carved by distraction can be smoothed. New grooves can be carved, but only through the same mechanism that carved the old ones. Repetition. Consistency. Showing up to the harder thing, even when the easier thing is right there, glowing, waiting, available. This is not about deleting apps. This is not about some extreme digital detox that makes you feel pure for 3 days before you relapse. This is about something far more fundamental. This is about reclaiming the belief that your attention is the most valuable thing you possess. That where you direct your focus is where your life actually goes. That the future you want isn't hidden behind a better strategy or a more perfect plan. It's hidden behind the decision to spend your hours differently than you spent them yesterday. You are not too distracted to change. You are not too far gone to recover the depth of focus you've lost. You are not too young to start making choices that the future version of you will be grateful for, or too late to stop making choices that version of you will carry as regret. But you are only as close to the life you want as the decision you make in the next moment of temptation. And that moment is always now. It is always this moment. The phone or the work. The scroll or the silence. The consumption or the construction. The comparison or the commitment. Every single time, in every single small moment, that choice is being made. And each choice is a vote for who you're becoming, a vote cast without ceremony, without witness, without reward in the immediate, but compounding quietly in the background of your life until one day the results are undeniable. Until one day you are not the person who wondered if they could. You are the person who showed up long enough to become someone who didn't have to wonder anymore. The world is noisier than it has ever been. The pull is stronger than it has ever been. The engineering behind the distraction is more sophisticated, more targeted, and more relentless than anything any generation before you ever had to face. And still, you are here, still listening, still in the conversation. That matters. That is not nothing. That is the beginning of something, if you choose to make it one. Your awareness is the weapon. Use it. Your clarity is the advantage. Protect it. Your time is the currency. Spend it like it matters. Because it does. Because you do. Because the version of you that this world needs, the focused, capable, grounded, disciplined, deeply aware version, is not going to arrive by accident. It is going to be built deliberately, quietly, consistently, in the hours no one sees, in the decisions no one applauds, in the moments when the easy thing was right there and you chose the real thing instead. Build it. Start now, not tomorrow, now.